It is Vishka Live, and we are getting into the new video this morning. It's me and Z, my little kitten. He acted. You alright? I think this man swallowed something. I don't know what's on. Hold on, real quick. Jesus Christ! As soon as I start the fucking video. God damn it. My cat is so freaking annoying. Like, I really wish I could pause this. Hold on. Okay, so my cat just is just really so annoying. I apologize with that. I mean, he's not annoying all the time, but he gets very like he doesn't listen. You know, I'll be trying to tell him what to do. Don't do this, don't do that. And he's 1 year. He's about to be his birthday in August. So August 1st, August 3rd, I think when he was born. But he just he's a bad kitten. And I'll be like, bro, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. But he doesn't listen to me. So, anyways, today getting in tune with, or we'll be talking about Saturn and Aries for the transit of 2025 through 2028. So what I have right here on the screen, as you guys can see, is of course from a website that I will leave down below for the link, so you guys can see the webpage of course, how this specific transit is going to go when 2025 comes. I think the planet goes into transit in Aries May 25th of 2025, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's just very exciting, very breathtaking. This type of planet moving into this type of sign is very strong and is very significant for the people who is of course unacknowledged about Saturn inside the planet, inside the sign Aries. So I'm going to be talking about a little bit everything. What is Saturn? What is Aries? What's the transit like for all 12 houses, of course, and what effects will the whole wide world will be going through while sitting inside this sign Saturn will be. So let's talk about Saturn. So I want to go back and reference my old video. Of course, what was it? If I'm not mistaken, it was Saturn retrograde inside Pisces. What type of manifestation, of course, to what kind of manifestation will be taking place in that sign, and of course, Aries is the next sign over for Pisces, so it will be stopping there. So we're gonna, of course, explain the sign after we, of course, explain what Saturn is. So what is Saturn? Saturn is the ruler, Chronos. He is the ruler of time. He is the ruler of time, past, present, and of course future. He is he is Satan at the same time, of course, referencing I forgot who said that, but I forgot who I learned that from, but really in reality, of course, Saturn is related to, of course, the all-time holder of the devil, because, or Satan, because of the because of the spell he holds and his power of nature. More so, references go out to the Bible, to different type of ancient religions back in the day, and you will find that God, of course, is all above everything. But of course, the next thing that people believe in or would say that is real in our reality would be, of course, Saturn. So what is Saturn? Saturn is the ruler of, again, time, past, present, and future. He rules responsibility, authority, discipline, structure. He also is, of course, all of your authority figures, of course, your father's voice, your father's livelihood, your father's power, your father's fortunes, your father's misfortunes. Saturn creates, of course, the bridges of your family, of course, your generations of family, whether it's the past, present, or of course future. Saturn is also not long term like career. It is, of course, everything you work for. So everything, like, it's the cast holder of all your jobs, meaning to say everything you've done in your life, even the things that you consider non-important. Saturn, he gets placed in the that type of stuff gets placed in that sign. That planet, because of course, Saturn's nature. I could keep going on. He's the in-law. In-laws, a family. I could keep going on, but this is a good that's a good summarization. Of course, Saturn, because I explained it in last video too. So we're gonna go into explaining what is the sign of Aries. The sign of Aries is, of course, the sign of inspiration. The sign of identity. the sign of prosper, the sign of action, the sign of legal actions, the sign of partner's work, the sign of your work, um, the sign of your younger brother, the sign of your brother. Um, I could keep going on. The sign of power, the sign of your rising, of course, when you first was born. The sign is, of course, your behavior. The sign of Aries is also, of course, um, your. Did I say anger? I'm gonna say it again. Your anger. Um, the sign of your reaction too. The sign of your brain. The sign of your head. And the sign of course, um, manifestation and consciousness of self. Anything self. Anything dealing with self. So, this sign is a fire sign. So, what we're going to talk about is what we got in front of us. So, it says Saturn and Aries from May 25th, 2025, September 1st, 2025. So, don't pay attention to that date because sometimes these planets have a retrograde effect, and I'll be of course touching up every time I say retrograde. I'll be touching up on what retrograde means. And retrograde just means when the planet is going backwards in a limb-like sight of an eye. When it feels like it is slowing down, it makes it seem like the planet is moving back in time, which is not true. Basically, the transit of how normally fast these planets spin or go, one planet might not go as fast as it's going normally, so it might mess up between 4 to 5 months. Like, the planet goes retrograde means the planet stammers backwards, the planet is moonwalking. Yeah, that's a decent summarization of retrograde, but it's a powerful thing when a planet retrogrades, and I'll briefly explain every time I say that again. But anywho, let's read into this. So, taking responsibility for our actions. As Saturn moves into Aries, we will be challenged to take responsibility for our actions and be more disciplined in our endeavors. This is a time to set realistic goals and work hard to achieve them. Developing self-reliance. This transit can also help to develop a greater sense of self-reliance. We may find ourselves relying less on others and more on ourselves to get things done. Learning patience. Aries is a fire sign. Saturn is a slow-moving planet. This combination can teach us the importance of patience. We need to learn to slow down and take things one step at a time. Okay. So, I'm going to just go ahead and honestly go forth and tell and spit out, or not spit out, but basically briefly explain what the effects of Saturn inside Aries inside the house of 1 through 12. And again, a transit is basically when a planet, it has to sit in a specific sign for a specific time frame, meaning it is in transit, meaning it will not stay long. It will go somewhere else. It will move along. It will move ahead, meaning that. So whenever somebody say it's a transit for a planet or blah 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 with a transit, it just basically means that it will be moving steadily. It will go forward. It will move to the next. That's what transit means. So So I'm gonna just go ahead and say what's Saturn in Aries. So I was gonna go through 1 to 12 in the houses, but I might I might do that. Oh, I could do that for the houses. I could do that. I'm tripping. I am tripping. I could do that for the houses. All right. So Saturn and Aries. So when the sign Saturn get in Aries, it gets it gets struck with childhood anger, or it gets struck with childhood manifestations as your. So what do I mean by that? So let's say let's say when you were born, when you were a kid, you used to always say something very specific to yourself to uplift your spirits, and you always say, let's say for instance, like you always wanted uh I don't know, Bugatti, or not Bugatti, that's too expensive. Let's say Alexis. So let's say this little kid always wanted a Lexus as a new car, like brand new car at a specific age, right? Like I want to have this by this age. So with doing that, that child has already prayed prayed consciously towards himself, and believing in himself, taking his own power, and not realizing how it was going to happen, just knowing that the kid felt like he knew it had to happen by the time he reached this age. So that little kid becomes 30, like he said. He wanted a brand new Lexus, old 2001, and it was a luxury car or whatever, and he wished it when he was 30 or whatever. So as soon as this kid turns 30, he has three of those Lexus. On top of that, he has a huge big house and then he owns another house. This is an example of Saturn being inside of Aries. It may seem so hard to comprehend, but in reality it's not. So so what did the kid do? He programmed, and that's what Saturn and Aries is. So everybody at a specific age, or everybody as soon as we get born, we get programmed into whatever ourselves. The crazy thing is, Aries, the opposite sign, the opposite lord is of course Libra, and Libra is the representation of people, the shadows. So with that being said, we have all these people we meet when we are younger, all these different type of environments, all this different type of knowledge, things that people might say in front of us we might not understand to a full pedigree, right? Or things we've seen that we might not understand at that age, that we might not see, that we might not have a full understanding of that pedigree. But just because the acknowledgement isn't there doesn't mean the effect is not. So with that being said, you've always been in front of your destiny. Saturn and Aries, it's always there. That's why it's tension between Aries, the sign of Aries and Capricorn, or more so to speak better, Mars and Saturn, because there's so much tension with having power. Both of these signs are literally meaning power. They are cardinal signs, meaning they start things out. They manifest things outward. Okay? It has to have a deep root change to become more powerful. And so with Saturn being in Aries, you want to improve your action. You want to improve that childhood self that was suppressed, or that childhood self might be suppressed, but people might want to say that it isn't a realization that it is, but everybody has always been a child. When you start as a young kid, you didn't start you didn't start out as an adult. Nobody starts out as an adult. Yes, you have to become grown. Yes, you have to do things that may have not have been right when you were as a child. So Saturn and Aries will give individuals the type of pain of receiving old childhood wounds. So whether you live right or wrong, you must come into a type of confirmation that you must conquer yourself. Because if you do not conquer yourself, you cannot conquer anything else. You may can make things be an illusion, because you yourself might be a self-reflection of illusion. But to actually manifest, to actually have power, to actually get God to talk to you, to actually rise above things, rise above your problems, rise above your oppositions, rise against your partnerships, rise against anything that is going against you. You must conquer yourself. You do. You must reflect on yourself. You must have answers for yourself. You must talk to yourself as if yourself is a literal person you see that you admire. Like, you might be too much in love with yourself, in the same sense of saying. Saturn and Aries doesn't give that, though. It wants to, but it can only give that if you've already conquered a little bit of yourself. It can only give you that type of power if you conquer a little bit of yourself. If you have not, then Saturn and Aries will be a little bit too hard on you, you know? So what do I mean by hard? So with Saturn and Aries, there will be some type of specific watch towards your bone structures. You might have inflammation if you haven't been working. If you've been working too hard, you might catch inflammation inside your bones, specific bones, or you might cause inflammation, blisters, pimples, eczema, again acne, again rash. All these type of things with Saturn being inside of Aries, because your skin will become more sensitive. It'll become more tension with this sign, with your skin. So, what are we talking about with Aries? Aries is not only, of course, your action, your anger, and consciousness, your blah, 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 blah. It is your nerves. And Gemini might be that too. But it's your It's your literal nerves. It's your ions. It's your ions, protons. It's all that. It's all that good stuff. It's energy. So what is energy? I wanna go ahead and prompt that up of what I said. Energy comes in many different formats. Energy comes in many different waves. Energy comes in many different ways. So with Saturn being inside Aries, it wants to make your it wants to make your energy more mature. Okay? What do I mean by mature? Mature is up to date, basically, to say. Mature is responsibility. So it wants to make you more responsible inside of your self actions and what you might have done in the past, what you will do for the future, and currently reflect on, am I doing enough for myself? Is this truly what I want? Is this truly my success point? It will make you have these big questions for yourself that people don't ask for you because nobody gives a damn about each other, really. Saturn in Aries has a hard and soft power that might become malicious. And what I say, I always say, oh, he always said malicious. What do I mean by malicious? I mean that if you do not control your own power, if you aren't responsible, if you're not accountable, how could you say you're conscious? How could you say you're with God? How could you say that you've been trying? How could you say you're real? How could you say that you're loyal? How could you say you've been doing this a long, long, long time? Saturn Aries, it wants to literally reflect what you are as a person, what you are as yourself. It wants to dominate. It wants you to dominate yourself. It wants you to be hard on yourself. Saturn and Aries wants you to be hard on yourself. Yeah. And sometimes people aren't. And what does it mean? Why does Saturn want you to be hard on yourself? Saturn has that type of energy. It wants you to be able to face. It wants you to take responsibility. Saturn and Aries, it wants you to take responsibility for yourself because you have so many people that you are responsible for. You have so many of your family members, that outside people looking in, the people you've never met before that might want the opportunity to actually give you a chance for their life too. Saturn Aries wants you to mature so you can, of course, take the authority power to your own authority power, of course, or wherever you want to be, to make you feel like you have rose above life. It wants you to master yourself again, coming back to that reason. Saturn and Aries causes the people to not really settle. Saturn and Aries has that spunk or that spike to where it wants to ask the most sporadic questions inside of your past, your present, and of course your future. Saturn. Okay, so Saturn is Earth. Saturn. Aries is fire. So there might be um, there might be some weird things going on with those two elements. Of course, the Earth. You got earthquakes. You got, and then you got fire. You got wildfires. So Saturn and Aries creates these type of sporadic things going on with nature. Okay, it may be that the birth of like consciousness is at a slowdown period, if I'm not mistaken, because the divine or the divinity wants itself to take its time making self-reliant, confident, serious, um, combative, and also very different individuals for this earth. So Saturn and Aries, it wants your family, or it wants you inside your family to be yourself. Everybody, including this, everybody has to work on themselves inside the family. Okay? It has that square off of this is what I'm doing, this is what they're doing, and everybody or everything you love must accept that. So Saturn and Aries. So Saturn is also the public, more than so reputation. You'll be throwing yourself out for more so your reputation in this time. You'll be trying to publicize it as far as who are you. So when that year pops off, people, whenever it comes to the reputation or like who they are, sorry, who they are, will start reflecting outside their business field. They can't hide it. It's going to be super obvious. People are going to be more so focused on their own lives, focused on themselves, because they have made a point up in their head that, hey, Saturn gives pessimistic vibes, but he's pessimistic for a reason, because he knows and wants the best for you. So during this type of time period of this transit, most people will know what they want for themselves, and they will know what's the best for themselves. Yeah, okay, so Saturn and Aries becomes to a point to where it might be a lot of danger zones. People will get more dangerous. People will get more. People will get more dangerous in the sense of not caring too. So what do I mean by dangerous? Dangerous how? Why? So Saturn is dark. Aries is dark too, in a way of it must be me and only me. no matter what. And as crazy as that sounds, that's how most people think, especially when it comes to Saturn being inside this area in Aries. Why? Like, you're asking why must they be this way? Why are they like this? Why are people not caring from each other? Why are they secretly stabbing each other in the back? Why are they being evil and being bad and blah blah blah? I'll tell you why. Because it's nature. Saturn, of course, and Aries, of course, has that type of nature to where it will. They both feel like they will do anything to get their own way. What do I mean by that? Well, both signs, specifically for Capricorn and Aquarius, are of course the 10th house lord. This sign is very opportunistic towards their own career or their own not just responsibility, but their how they feel like when it comes to disrespect or respect in general. These are these for Capricorn. Their self-reliant, their self or Saturn and Aries for themselves will come in the effect of doing anything off of pure opportunity or doing anything off of pure respect or disrespect towards whatever they feel might invoke themselves or might invoke them, that is they can't sensitively handle. With Aries, it's the opposite. When it comes to themselves, and only it's not the opposite. It's the challenge of themselves. So when it comes to themselves, in general, that's when they really take it to a whole nother level too. Okay, so when it comes to anything that they have since they was a child, anything they've been doing since they was a child, anything they've been doing, anything that makes them feel confident as a person, makes them feel like they are a person, because sometimes they have that feeling. Especially with this placement, it becomes very if people cannot help control this, it becomes not only unpredictable but depressive. With Saturn being in Aries, you could either be an old leader in a young body, or you could be a super young leader inside of a young body, or the opposite way around, or inside of an old body. So you could be very young. You could look very young, but inside of your heart you're very old. Like you're too mature. Like you could look super young. People think like, oh, this person. Or you could be like super mature, or the opposite way around, where you could be mature. You could on the outside be mature, or look mature, super mature on the outside, but on the inside you could feel like you're super duper young, like you're super childish. Either or. Saturn and Aries, it has that effect to where everybody don't have Saturn and Aries, so really too it depends on where your Saturn is in your birth chart to also tell like what type of effects this would do. But if you have Saturn and Aries, this will be the case as well. Like sometimes people look at you, might think like, oh, this person's young, this person's old, but it might be sometimes the opposite. If that gets you. So there might be with the public and the people will have that intention to fight. People will be wanting to fight. People will be wanting to demand. People will be wanting to curse a lot, curse out people a lot, literally put curses on people a lot. people will be very brutal as far as disrespect, very degrading. The public will be very feisty, be very angry, be very malicious as far as I know I say malicious a lot, but malicious in the intent of bringing somebody down, bringing a group down. People in Aries, they self-serve in a sense, especially when it gets to the sign as far as transit. It gets in the sign because Saturn is everywhere. Sometimes Saturn could be in another house. So whatever house Saturn holds on to people in transit is very powerful as far as just birth chart too. So everybody will have this as far as being very spicy. You know, they could do anything off of aggression or opportunity. That's the problem. So I know that I like. I'm starting to get into a little bit of politics too, but like basically when Putin said that like because of Trump might be inside the office or whatever, right? That he will like negotiate with stopping the war or whatever. He actually like I don't know how he's gonna do it, but he's gonna figure out how to do it, and that's what of course Putin felt like, of course, about Trump. Now, I know I mentioned this, and it's like, bro, what are you talking about? But why I say this is because World War III, of course. So it's a sensitive topic, but with this type of placement, Saturn and Aries brings, of course, that opportunity or that power. That abuse of power, and that's what sometimes government people do. That's what sometimes jobs do. That's what sometimes people in general that feel like they have one over you do. So Saturn and Aries causes more aggression towards anything they feel like they can get over on. And not just saying this like, oh, he just trying to be mean and all. No, this is just Saturn and Aries is different. It might be good. It's like a coin toss. It's like heads or tails. It might mean like how I see it, good or bad, or maybe or not. I mean, maybe or not. You know what I mean? It's that type of sign. These people do work hard. Yes, they do work hard as hell. Whatever they do, if they're a fighter, if they do UFC, box, if they I don't know, prostitute, if they have their own business. Saturn and Aries sparks a lot of own businesses too because of the economic background. So people will be fed up with bullshit. People will be fed up with the authorities too. So that's why I mean the civilians might be more aggressive towards of course anybody that is higher than you, or vice versa. Somebody that is higher than you, just because they're higher on you, they might be more aggressive to that nature because Saturn and Aries does that. I really want to make a part 2, and that's what I will. That's what I would do. I think I should make a part 2 to Saturn and Aries, and I think this is it. I didn't go through the years. I just basically I said subscribe. I basically did a summary about what Saturn and Aries is. So tune into part 2. I'm gonna make a part 2. Tune into part 2, and Vishka out. Peace.